Hello, everybody. I'm Will.
And I'm Kristen.
And this is So I'm watching Lost, Season 1, Episode 23.
Exodus Part 1.
Bafflingly, Part 1.
Yeah.
Because
this feels like the finale.
I remember the year is 2005.
Yes, it is.
And I was like, oh, cool. What a great ending. And I was like, there's two more?
Yeah.
And I only remember one thing from those two more.
Is it the explosion?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's the only thing I remember too.
And Charlie has a head injury.
Okay.
That's it. It left a mark how they handle it.
Okay.
Left a mark on me and Charlie.
Okay. I have no idea. This is going to be fun. I have no idea.
I think it's in season 1. I don't think it's like a season 2 or 3 thing. This is actually a pretty good episode.
Yeah.
It is the culmination of this building the raft, and it is Michael and Walt and Jin and Sawyer leaving to go find help.
Yeah.
I know that they talked about it. I know they covered it on the show. I'm still perplexed as to why they're bringing Walt with them.
Michael doesn't want to leave him.
No, I get that, but I don't know. I think dying in the open sea is just so much.
Sawyer makes a point in this episode where Jack comes to find him in the woods, which is a beautiful scene that we'll get to the meat of in a minute. But he finds him and he gives him one of the guns and he's like,
"You're the only one on the raft who knows how to use one. What do I need a gun for? Just in case. You think we're gonna run out of food, water? I'm supposed to put the kid out of his misery? Just in case."
And Sawyer's literal first instinct is what? Shoot the kid if we run out of water? Like, what the hell? I went to a very, spoiler alert, The Mist place. When I was like, oh God, imagine. And so it just is sort of like, the sentiment is appropriate and it's there in an appropriate way, but at the same time, it's just, you're right. It's like, why are you bringing this child?
The narrative is that they're finding and bringing back help, so they're implying that they're not parting ways.
Yeah.
And so it's like, you could bring help back to save Walt. We don't need to be putting him in. Yeah,
well, yes, I agree with you logistically and realistically, but also at the same, like, you have to have that beautiful moment where he like leaves Vincent with
and that's why I bring up
Shannon.
Had they actually done any character work with those two characters, I think it would have made infinitely more sense to leave him with Shannon.
Like having like leaving Walt with Shannon. Yeah, okay, I see that.
And I just like, I thought we were going to go to the Jack and Sawyer, but while we're here, the Shannon, it's a very nice scene where Walt, she's packing, and Walt's like, "Why are you packing?" And she's like, "It's all I have." Yeah, it's the only.
Her actual words are, "Because I'm anal," but the subtext is, "I literally have nothing else to do.
I'm grasping at straws here, man.
My brother is dead. My lover is on the outs with me. Like, I have nothing going on. This is all I can do."
And not to mention, she was helping push the boat into the water without complaining at all. Yeah. And so even as begrudging as it was, the episode is depicting her character growth, we'll go with. And he says he decides to leave Vincent with her because he can sense that she's hurt. That she's hurting and in need of some form of
companionship,
therapeutic.
I think you should take Vincent.
Are you serious?
He'll take care of you.
What makes you think I need a dog to take care of me?
Vincent took care of me when my mom died. You could talk to him about Boone if you want.
All right.
And she's gracious about it. And then for some godforsaken reason, we flash back to her being horrible and racist. And I cannot for the life of me understand why.
Hi, some Arab guy just left his bags in the chairs downstairs and then just walked away.
Can you describe him, please?
Arab?
It's information we already knew.
Yeah.
It's
okay.
information we already had.
Yeah.
It completely demeans and undercuts anything that they've accomplished with her, let
And
alone the scene we just watched.
And her relationship with Saeed. Here's the thing. It is racist. I think it's incidentally racist.
It is incidentally racist.
Because Saeed comes up to her. That's not excusing it in any way, but Saeed comes up to her and...
Is that racist like the people commenting on Sun and Jin?
Yeah. But so Saeed comes up to her while she's waiting at the gate in the airport, before, and he's like, could you just watch my bag for a minute? I'll be right back. And then immediately Boone comes over and is like, I can't get our first class seats, blah, 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 whatever. And they get up and leave.
Which, again, information we already had, because her and Boone had that conversation on the island in, like, episode 3.
Exactly. And so, but then I think... Here's the thing where I think it's incidentally racist, and it does tell us something about Shannon, but again, it's something we already know about Shannon, because Boone is like, you couldn't even, and she cuts it off, and she's like, I couldn't even what? You have no idea what I could do. And so she immediately walks up to the nearest, like, airport security, and is like, an Arab guy left his bag, and then just, like, walked away. And so that's how, obviously, the first time we see Saeed, he's being... detained at the airport and everything. So it's like, but you're totally right. It's like some of the other ways that we see how the characters were already kind of revolving around each other before they got on the
orbits,
plane are like interesting and informative. But this is like
enlightening,
but this is only vaguely interesting, and it's not informative because, like you said, it's things we already know, and it's not enlightening because we already know these things about both these characters. Like, congrats, I guess, Ian Somerhalder for getting another paycheck.
We trotted Ian Somerhalder out for this, and it just sort of it just further martyrs him.
Yeah,
I really, really hated it.
It was not great. One thing that's cool about the scene that I will say is that Saeed's bag is beautiful. It's like,
but I'm just saying, it's like, if it were, that to me would have been so much more interesting if there was a character that we liked, and we saw that maybe they had done something to show that they were morally gray or questionable or something.
Yeah.
But I fully do not comprehend its place in this story, like what it does in this episode.
It's so weird because you're totally right where, like, it's only Shannon that they're doing this to, where it's like every other person that we get like a flashback, like we see something new, even the Sun and Jin part.
Would that they use this moment for her to be kind to Charlie, someone that she kind of screwed over in the beginning of this, like, if she was maybe helping him prepare food or something. I don't know.
Well, and that's the other thing too, is like, I actually, since you brought up Charlie, I think it actually could have been like an interesting, like why did Shannon have to be the one that got Saeed detained? You know, why couldn't someone have been clocking that Charlie's on heroin and he said something? Because like they don't have a super close bond, and he has the excuse of being on a super hard drug to like, but like it just was Shannon being a cunt for no reason, and that's just like, why do you keep having these lovely moments with her on the island and furthering her character growth, and then immediately showing us something that's just like
redundant.
The worst thing we've seen her do so far.
That immediately undoes the whole thing.
It's very annoying, and I think when we were young, when we were 20, and this was on TV, it was a lot more. Like, we weren't quite there yet, where we just were like, oh my god, they, like, are connected, how, like, blah, blah, blah. And now, 20 years later, we're like, ooh, this is terrible and bad writing, and, like, why are you only doing this to the female character? The, like, ditzy female character. I don't know. It upsets me, too.
And the last thing I'll say about it is solely because, I mean, if the moral of her story is that she's reprehensible, then do that.
Exactly.
But they're not, and that's where I'm like, it undoes narrative work, and that's where I'm.
You're totally right, and I think that's the thing is like, which we do get there in further seasons. Which if you guys are really enjoying this, we'll keep doing it. Not right away, but like it'll stay in the cycle. But we do end up getting like human villains in the mix or whatever, but like I do think that
all of which are famously nuanced, layered, and intricate.
I
Anyways, we're beating a dead horse.
No, but my point is that like I see the issue where it's like there's very mysterious antagonistic presences in season 1, but like you're totally right. If you wanted like a human villain that was like in the mix,
if this is
like,
to put these 2,000 girls in their place, then do that.
do it. But this treading the line thing is really frustrating. It's very strange.
And we have the Jack and Sawyer scene. I mean, god tier for this show.
The only thing that would have made it better is if they actually hugged.
If they are even just, but
even just
they're not there.
Maybe
I
like
mean,
an arm on the shoulder.
Yeah, like they needed a physical contact. But I mean, we get shirtless Josh Holloway, which
Lumberjack.
Excuse me?
Never asked you what you did back in the real world, so taking a wild guess. Lumberjack.
Something I can help you with, Doc. 'Cause I got work to do.
it's just a sight to behold. It's not like comic book muscle.
He's not cut like Chris Evans or anything, but like you just feel like he
looks like an abstract painting of a fit guy, or there's something long
like
and
a Renaissance painting.
broad, but or no, I'm going more like Deco.
Okay.
Like I don't know, there's something about
God, I love him in a tuxedo.
His body
with
type
tails.
that's very interesting and very sort of, and he's like tanned and just I don't know.
Because he's also like you can see. I just feel like he would like just rock my shit. Like, yeah. Because he's like we said, he's not super cut, so there's also a softness to him. But you can tell that he's like the muscles are there, but it's not
like
for
lean.
vanity.
Yeah, it's like lean, but without being skinny. I don't know. I'm really into it. Also, one of Jack looking good as well, which Jack always looks good.
Matthew Fox is like way up
but
there.
he has the arms out, and just the way that they're positioned, the way that they're blocked at odds with each other. I love it so much. And it's just the single most important thing that we needed from Sawyer at this moment.
100%.
Because...
Well, it is also a very shit or get off the pot moment. Like...
But the fact that, because we have seen the potential in him, but this is the first time that he gave something... He had something someone else needed, and he gave it to that person, got nothing in return, and also on top of that,
knew he wouldn't get something in return.
And on top of that, he has tension with this person. Yeah. He had every right or reason to hold on to that, like to get off on it.
Yeah.
But because they're parting ways, and it's sort of like, in another world, we could have been brothers.
He also, I think it's very important that he didn't do it in like a smug or teasing manner.
I actually hate that he said his name was Christian.
Why?
I think the ambiguous...
A little more ambiguous.
Nature. I think it's too on the nose saying, I think it's the 2004. I think if they were doing it now, they would leave it.
Sure. I don't hate it, though.
Matthew's so good, though, because he turns away.
Yeah.
Anyway. Payphone in this bar, and this guy, Christian, tells me he wishes he had the stones to pick up the phone, call his kid. Tell him he's sorry. He's a better doctor than he'll ever be. He's proud. He loves him.
But he doesn't, it's such a, it's considering how much we don't love man pain and masculinity and all of that, it's such a good use of masculinity and 2000s.
I don't consider this man pain.
I don't.
Okay.
No, I mean, it's like, because when we say man pain, we mean it in like a indulgent, like,
This is cathartic. This is a very cathartic and like and a good and a like a release of guilt moment for
There's
Jack.
no homo happening. And that's like there's no signaling in the scene. And that's
like if Sawyer was like, "Hey man, I'm not gay, but I got to tell you this emotional story about your dad."
Like he doesn't undercut it.
Yeah, no, you're
that's
totally
you know what I mean?
You're
and it's
totally
just like, and I think Jack's turning away is appropriate. Like, I don't feel
because
like
it's not that he doesn't want Sawyer to see him cry. It's just that he's having an intense.
he's overcome.
Because it's also, I don't think he's embarrassed that Sawyer is there or that Sawyer is telling him these things. I think he's just overcome by the emotion, and because it's such a cathartic release of guilt, like that Sawyer knows and had the presence of mind to tell him that his father said he was proud of him and that he was a better doctor than his father and like all of this stuff. The fact that he knows that now, and that he knows that Christian was having such a hard time wrestling with the fact that he needed to call Jack and he needed to apologize and he wanted to do it, but he didn't think that Jack would answer the phone. That's such a release of angst and guilt on Jack that he's just so overcome with the emotion. And so you're totally right. I don't think it's that he's embarrassed to be emotional in front of Sawyer. It's just that he is like kind of imploding with it. It's fantastic. Matthew Fox is really good. And I think to a TV level extent, he falls into the Brad Pitt category where he is so comically hot that he does not get credit for his chops. I think for me,
I don't know. I was blown away, and I've largely been whelmed by this rewatch, and I'm glad.
I'm having a great time.
I'm glad for a handful of the moments that reminded me what I was so captivated by the first time, and that was really one of them. We also have trailing around. We have the character of Arts.
That's ours, you idiot.
Who we've technically met before.
Yeah.
Arzd.
He's a real prick about it, too.
Yeah, because I called him Arts. And I was like, oh, no, it's like Arzd.
His name is Daniel Roebuck. He's like a pretty fun actor.
Yeah,
I
recognize him, but it's one of my favorite types of people. And it's the sort of not outcast, that's too strong of a word, but it's, that person sometimes that gets picked on and gets left out a lot.
He's a horse girl.
And you feel bad for them, and then you spend a little bit of time with them, and they're like, oh, there's a reason you've been shunned by your peer group.
Oh, it's just because you suck.
And I think that's...
Sucks to suck, Dr. Arzt.
I think that's an interesting character type.
Yeah.
Because I think we can fall too easily into these absolutes and these cliches.
Yeah.
And
because we also literally met him one episode ago where he came up and was like, you're all gonna die, and you should have left 3 weeks ago. And you're just like, woo.
That was over. That was overacting.
Was it? but he continues that in this episode.
But it's like he's lording his knowledge over them.
Yeah.
And but it's very funny, and you're right, he continues and he pulls that, we have a saying in our friend group, and it's that dead weight doesn't get to be a pain in the ass. And he kind of walks up to that line in here. And they are, so the episode actually starts with Rousseau stumbling into not really stumbling, venturing into the
She's
camp.
very purposefully marching into camp, and Walt has gotten up to pee and like sees her.
That was odd to me as well.
Yeah.
It was like, oh, we're filming the child urinating. It was like, I don't know that. I don't know. It was odd. I love Rousseau. I think she's such an interesting character, and I think ultimately taking the character drama aspect of the show, which is the part that we respond to the most, and putting that aside and actually looking at the nitty-gritty mystery stuff, I think my issue is that I find the things that it insinuated and threatened us with far more intriguing than any of the things that actually end up happening.
Off, yeah.
Or many. I'll say many of the things.
Well, but because that's the thing, you're totally right. Like I remember watching this for the first time, and we did binge like the first 2 seasons, like fast in a row. But I remember she comes into camp and she's like, she creates a frenzy, and Saeed is like,
calm down, everyone. It's all right. Danielle? What are you doing here?
The others are coming. They took my baby. And now, they're coming again. They're coming for all of you.
Who's coming?
The others. You have only 3 choices. Run, hide, or die.
And that is
Terrifying.
alarming. Yeah.
Terrifying. And they're burning a column of black smoke.
Yeah.
The last time they did that, they stole my kid.
Yeah.
That one has a baby. There's a precedent for them wanting her baby.
Yeah. And she's like, I can disappear into the woods, but there are 40 of you. What are you going to do?
And, you know, we were a little bit talking about this off screen, but the show at this point is giving me very Land of the Lost. Like, it's giving me spooky, like, moving through time.
Yeah.
At a minimum and a maximum of like eldritch horror.
Yeah.
In a way that we end on moderate science fiction. And I'm sort of like, okay. But it's just so, it's such an effective, ominous countdown clock.
Yeah.
That really pushes all of these things into motion. And I love her sort of choosing to work with them. As I recall, we do get a decent amount of Rousseau, don't we?
Mm-hmm. She sticks around for a minute.
And yet I feel like not enough.
As with many characters, the culmination of her character is underwhelming.
Yeah, I don't fully remember, but I was enjoying this.
Yeah.
So she's leading them
To the Black Rock.
And I love the mystery there, that it's in the dark forest and it's the Black Rock. And it's the under happening something. I don't know. She throws around a lot of mysterious words. And I love the reveal that the Black Rock is a like pirate ship.
Yeah.
And it's like in the trees. I don't know. They were being really creative at this point. And
well, it's the type of thing that it's like once you know like how and why the plane crashed and stuff like that, you're like, oh my god, that's also how the boat's there. Like, ugh. But once you find out, you're like, oh, that's how the boat's there. Okay. It's just like
why is there a polar bear on this island? Yeah. Turns out because there's a polar bear on the island.
Right now it's very cool and you're like, oh my god, it's in the middle of this island. What the fuck? This is insane. And then it's just like, yeah.
I really, really enjoy it. Actually, of great importance, in one of the flashbacks, Jack was drinking water and plastic.
Jesus Christ. Okay, I said it out there. I'll say it again here. Everybody has like a real big pet peeve about empty coffee cups in TV and movies where you like, they're picking it up. You can tell there's not even water in it. Like put water in it at least. Come on. My pet peeve is fake ice that doesn't float. It's 2022. It was 2005 when this happened. And
well, yeah.
I had plastic ice cubes when I was a child that floated. When I was a child 30 years ago. I know that it's possible. We have the technology. It's
and you even said you were like, just pour half of the drink out. So it was
not in a like. So I thought he was drinking vodka, but then it was like a point of conversation that he was drinking water. But I was like, why is this not in a rocks glass? Like I don't know. It was very upsetting. I hate it. We both were like, it's screaming at me.
Yeah. But he has a scene with Michelle Rodriguez's Ana Lucia. Okay. Because we're not entirely sure how far we're going to go down this lost journey. I'll go ahead and say it now. Michelle Rodriguez is one of those that I kind of weirdly like, and I cannot tell you why.
Yeah, same.
I can't do. I thought you didn't like her.
Okay, well, I think when we watched this the first time, I didn't, but I have come around on her. She's also she's one of the like half the cast that got DUIs while they were in Hawaii. So I was always a little like.
She's very surly, and she's a fine actress. She stays largely in her lane, which does wonders.
We should, does Stefan watch these? We should watch Blue Crush.
I've never seen it.
Oh shit, we should definitely watch it.
Part of his personality.
It really is.
But I don't know, there's just something about her that I just find sexy and intriguing.
Oh, she's very sexy. Sexy is not the issue.
And I'm never like, sweet Michelle Rodriguez. But there's a part of me that's a little bit like,
Sweet.
Like, kind of like,
It's
and I
just a
just
quieter,
can't, I can't fully justify it or defend it.
I know what you mean, because it's not like whenever we see, you know, someone like CCH Pounder, where we're like, oh good, we're gonna be fine. But there is a vibe, like a vibe like that, where you're like, oh, Michelle Rodriguez, okay, like we'll see. I don't know. I'm with you. It's a very nebulous, can't put my finger on it kind of feeling.
And again, I can't fully justify it, but even that weird streak where her and Zac Efron were dating, and I was kind of like, yeah, we talked about it. I think you rejected it.
That.
And I was, it was like, it was buff Zac Efron.
Okay.
It was like 5 years ago.
I was just imagining
High School Musical. No,
I was imagining
Link.
Hairspray.
And I'm Link.
No. And there was a part of me that was kind of like, oh, it was like that month that Scarlett Johansson was with Sean Penn. And I was like, I mean, get in and get out.
Yeah.
But I kind of see it.
Sure.
I don't know. Anyway, so
sort
I just
of like that month that everybody dates Sean Penn.
But anyways, I'm missing a bit. Well, we had the Jin and Sun. Mm-hmm. Everybody loves to talk about the love triangle, the Jack, Sawyer, Kate. But if we're talking love for the ages, Jin and Sun, heart. And I think you might have said that in an early episode.
Oh,
I think
yeah.
you were like heart and soul of the show.
They absolutely are. And it's like because of how they kind of fall apart in season 1 and, you know, vague spoilers, don't reunite for like a minute. It's very interesting. And I think I will also, are you remembering? Did it all just flood back? I will say, I also sort of despise the culmination of their story as well, but that's for another day. But I do love this. It's really lovely. He's still leaving. She makes him like a little guide to talk about, like,
There was like 3 places in this episode where I was kind of like,
for like boating terms and stuff to learn phonetically in English.
Starboard.
Starboard.
간단한 영어를 발음대로 적었어요. 당신한테 도움이 될 것 같아서 한번 만들어봤어요.
It's just very sweet. And even like the flashback of them in the airport, it's like she's still being very doting.
I was waiting.
She's literally about to leave, like run away and leave him.
And I was waiting for a button. Like
Yeah.
I was waiting for a punchline to that scene.
Yeah.
And when it didn't happen, I was like, that was the right move.
Yeah.
That was absolutely the right move.
Yeah.
Like,
that she didn't like
say
snap
anything.
back to that woman who was being despicably racist.
화장실.
저기 있네요.
My God, it's memoirs of a geisha come to life.
Hey, volume.
Relax, they don't speak English.
I think something happened with Kate. I don't really remember. She went with Jack to not have to say goodbye to Sawyer, maybe?
Yeah, but then she was like desperately looking around for Sawyer before they left to go into the woods. And I'm just like,
Not my favorite flavor of Kate.
it's not my favorite flavor of Kate. Here's what I want, and I'm going to do a very specific spoiler that won't make sense unless you know what it is. I want Kate and Sawyer in the cages eating fish biscuits. That's what I want. That's the flavor of Kate and Sawyer I like. Yeah, we got another flashback with the stupid air marshal who's just like the world's biggest prick. Like, I don't know.
I hate him so much.
We also learn Sawyer's real name, which is James Ford, because we get a flashback of him having been arrested and he's getting deported from Australia and banned. Just like, this is like a local Sydney cop that I don't think you have that authority.
Oh, he was like pushing the sleeves up. He was like, my time to shine.
You're a blight, a stain, a scavenger. You're a con man who preys on the weak and the needy. You're not even worth what it would cost us to incarcerate you. Which is why you're being deported. Your plane leaves this afternoon. And James, you're banned from ever setting foot in Australia again.
Also, we got a flashback of Walt being a terrible twerp. Just horrible. I don't. That's another one of the bad writing things.
I'm going to watch Power Rangers, and it wakes Michael up because he's jet lagged and they're in Australia. And he's like, hey, man, like, turn the TV off or like,
turn it down.
And he turns it up instead. And then Michael is like, come on, man. And he takes Vincent and runs.
He says, Brian lets me listen to it however loud I want. And it's like, look, I get that he's acting out, but hotel etiquette. He's 10 years old, and from money, you would have. That's another one of the things that I was like, how is this serving?
Realistically, this just doesn't suit. Like, I don't buy it.
Is that?
I think that's it. Charlie is going around asking if people want messages in a bottle because they're going to send it with the raft.
We also got a lot of shots of his little midriff. I love
Charlie.
I love male midriff. Of him with his hands in the air.
And Locke very specifically is like, that's a nice idea, and then like just walks the other way. Like, he is very no thank you about it. But I do think that is mostly it. And they do push the raft off into the sunset at the end. And that is where we leave off.
Oh, they're looking for the dynamite to try and get into the hatch so that they can hide in the hatch when the others come.
Yeah, it'll be a really No, they said others.
Did they say the hatch?
Yes, we know hatch, we know others.
I was like, they said the word hatch.
Yeah. But I also find that very hilarious.
I didn't say 70s elliptical bike. That would have been.
But the thing for me that's so funny is that, like, I like the idea in concept, but I think they needed to take it one step further, because it's like, okay, we need to hide these 40 people plus a baby. Let's blow a hole in this fortified thing. And it's like, that's not gonna help. You're gonna blow a huge hole in it so it's a human-sized hole so you can get inside it. But then who else can get in? The others. So, yeah.
Well, we got 2 more episodes.
Also, I meant to say it when you talked about it the first time. Anna Lucia was, like, coming hard for Jack. Coming so hard home for Jack. She was like... So are you not wearing a wedding ring because you're not married or you don't like it? And he goes, are you asking me if I'm single? And she goes, are you single?
I think that's another reason why I kind of like her. She has the audacity to be straight.
Yeah. I think she should at least be bi.
But there's just something about it that I'm like, I think audacity is a good word.
Yeah.
I think I just sort of like...
I think just in general, not even just about her sexuality. I think that, like, Michelle Rodriguez has the audacity.
Yeah.
Just in general.
So, all right. Well, we're going to watch the next one, and then we'll talk about it when it's done.
Bye.